las redes sociales de hoy en día, el contenido de calidad a menudo pasa desapercibido. A los usuarios se les paga por la creación, evaluación y conservación de los contenidos de calidad. Los creadores de contenido son recompensados según el compromiso y el alcance de su publicación o comentario. Los evaluadores de contenido son recompensados en función de la velocidad y los resultados de sus predicciones. Los propietarios de la comunidad son recompensados en función del compromiso dentro de su comunidad. El contenido de calidad se paga.
All right, everyone, welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode 4A. It's the 75th episode. We're back into letters again. I can't remember how you pronounce 4A. I don't know, we'd have to figure that out. But let's see here. First up, so we're going to do some updates. First up, number go up. Wanted to say last week, the analyst was correct, of course, about Ethereum, right? And I think that's going to continue much through 2021, at least hopefully. But today we're going to do U.S. national debt. So number go up. Last week number go up, and next week number go up. So either way, that's an easy one. And the analyst is usually right on this one. But maybe someday in the future this will all change when it's all swapped to something else. So either way, that's our hope. Next, LCP proposal phase. So a lot of what we're doing at Dragonchain right now is related to DIN, the project. Of course, it's an independent entity, but this is the best place to give updates of what's going on with that. And what we're doing right now is we've opened up the DIN layer creation process layer to proposals, and about 50 proposals have been made. A bunch of really good ones, a bunch of them that are very interesting, especially interacting with what's going on and what's coming up in 2021 with DIN and with Dragonchain and with customers and with what's going on out in the world. Some really interesting proposals, of course, and some that I think will have some pretty cool effects. We did also, so everybody knows, we did also open it up that if you don't want to wait for the layer creation process, or if you have a business or brand that you want to create a layer for and to get some ownership to your community so that you can better manage the communications with customers and announcements and things like that, reach out. We have a process now that you can create one manually. You will wholly own the layer, and you'll be able to do what you want with it. So we've opened that up. We've had a couple of recent ones added, like the Liberty LBTY magazine, which has already produced some really good content. I've not talked to them about how much matter they produced, but I have to think it's a lot because they get really good upvotes, even for me. So let's see. So that's going. Let's see. Please read all the proposals before you make a new one. If you have something similar, you might interact with the other proposals, see if they would modify theirs to fit kind of your vision as well, or whether you would still want to challenge, basically compete for all of that lore. Now, the interesting thing about this LCP, which is this layer creation process, is this is the first time we're going to actually use lore. So we are waiting for the lore contract is already there. The LCP contract is already there, so that all of the voting can be purely on-chain and all proper. But it is a hybrid environment, but the contracts are on Ethereum, so they're all very transparent, and it's going to be really interesting because when you create new layers, the lore gets locked into the lot contract. So when you get lot, it always has lore behind it, and you actually will, I guess, receive fees and rewards based upon the performance of that layer itself and the content going through it. So really cool stuff. And the community's even done some nice analysis of which layers are producing the most right now. We're hopefully going to have a lot of that more formalized soon, where you can see, maybe a top 10 list of layers and things like that, so you can see what's going on in the world. So all of that's happening. We're expecting that the voting phase should be coming sometime in January. I'm guessing probably middle January, but and we're hoping to at least get it turned on this month. And we are going to be making some posts to get feedback from the community as to how long the voting process should run, the voting phase. So that'll either be today or sometime this week that you'll see some of those posts come out. So you can help us by giving us feedback, any reasonings, because we're expecting it'll run maybe 4 days, maybe a week, but we'll see. Also, a really big thing that's coming is DIN governance, and the first implementation of DIN governance is going to be, very interestingly, for the DIN 2021 governance layer. So we just created this this layer on New Year's Eve. Go and subscribe to it if you can. Basically, this is the layer through which all solicitation of ideas or feedback and all proposals will flow. So that, again, this is a hybrid process. It's a real entity, but all of the contracts, of course, are decentralized. So what we're doing is creating a way for the community to come and make proposals, to answer requests for info, things like that, and that this layer is going to have 60 lot total, okay? And this layer will flip over to the 2022 layer at the end of the year, okay? So that 60 lot total, 20 will be owned by the entity, 20 will be owned by individuals or organizations that provide Matter ETH liquidity, and 20 lot will be provided to individuals or organizations that provide lower ETH liquidity. So generally, the community could overrule the company for issues of algorithms and features and what the rules will be inside the system. And that was the intent from the beginning. We think we have a good model set up, and the actual lot voting, the first round will probably be manual. You'll be able to prove that you have this many lots, and so therefore here are my 3 votes. But early on, the company will probably own the majority of them. We think. We don't know yet, I guess. But either way, that's going to start hopefully in January. We'll have all of that running the next few weeks, and people will be able to go get lot already for that. There will be some interesting things on, which we'll describe later, that if you're, and maybe we'll have Eric on next week or something, but that your locked LP tokens for that liquidity will be locked, first of all, to the end of the calendar year, and they will move with the lot. So if you have a lot based upon that liquidity and you sell the lot or give it to a friend, that your liquidity will go with it. And again, that's all decentralized, so that's all mostly happening on Uniswap, but we are, as an entity, going to be, DIN as an entity is going to be looking at that for all of its operations. So pretty cool stuff. That's going to start seeing some activity this week. I think I wanted to get a post in yesterday on a couple of things and didn't get a chance to, so hopefully it'll happen today or tomorrow. Let's see. I think that's everything. That's all the updates for now. If you have any questions, do throw them in. I'll see if we can answer them at the end if anything is a good question. Let's come right back with our guests right after this.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, welcome our guests today. We have our favorite cyborg musician and artist from the future, Orrin, real Orrin. And we have Greg Lang, co-founder of Open Relay and CXO of Rivet. So thanks for joining, guys.
Great to be here, Joe.
Thank you for having us.
Good to see you again.
All right, yeah, no, this is good. You guys are probably, I mean, and we're gonna do the style. We probably need a name for this, where we go through the current events and basically just talk about what's going on in the world, right? Versus interview of because you guys have really good insight, so it's proven out. Let's see here. First off, Greg, are you ready for 2021?
Oh yeah, 2021. I think we've got, and we talked about this a bit before the show, right? Like there's a pent up optimism. I think the world is not necessarily optimistic right now, but ready for a return to it. And whether it knows it or not, I think there's a lot of potential for this year, and I'm really excited to see what we can do in it.
Yeah, you can feel it, right? In crypto, definite, but elsewhere, it's like you can feel it. So, Orrin, so based upon your knowledge of the future, and without breaking any of your rules, are we ready for 2021?
Yes, we're ready for 2021. We believe that the world economy and the work from home economy has helped create a world stage for cryptocurrencies to take the central point moving forward.
See, very good, spot on. Okay, excellent. All right, so the first subject, Ukraine government picks Stellar to help build national digital currency. Okay, so fear of government backed crypto is tracking total loss of privacy it enables. With that, are we worried? Let's see here. Is it inevitable that the privacy thing will come in and governments are going to mandate that they know where your money flows constantly? Greg.
First off, I really love XLM as the project. Like those guys do really good work. I can't imagine that the folks behind that are going to be ready partners in the deprivation of people's privacy, but there's also that risk, right? And it's something that that's going to be, if you look back over since the 90s and people started fighting over cryptography, you had one side of the argument saying we're going to take this away and put in government backdoors, and another side of it saying no, we're going to get this to everybody. And it's been this on and on and on of escalation. And I think we're going to continue to see that. I think this is just going to be humanity's dance with privacy and the lack thereof, or the deprivation of it throughout history, and it's going to continue. It's going to take different forms, but that's kind of where we are right now, and I think we're going to continue to go.
Okay. And Orrin, what about gosh, I've always had this consideration, and there's never really an opportunity to do it, but if you were going to take a nation state and flip its currency, what are your thoughts on loss of privacy, but also the potential for the open transparency that black projects or even maybe more importantly to be able to see, look, if you're an elected representative, you're going to give up this privacy so that we can see who's actually paying you outside of us, right? Taxpayers are paying you, we can track that, but I want to see who else is giving you money and then, track it to your votes, which they try to do that, but you can't actually track it, right? So
it's on a per country basis right now, so it really depends on the country and the way that they do business in politics. But as we've seen with the movie Catch Me If You Can, you realize that companies will learn about new and emerging technologies and then hire the best experts within that space to then understand how consumers are using it. So it seems as if Ukraine is doing the same with XLM. The US government will be doing the same. The OCC recently announced the integration of stable coins. And again, ZLM partnering with the Ukraine government is a good sign for cryptocurrencies overall, and will signal to other nations that cryptocurrency, if not the blockchain or decentralized transactions, do have value for corporatized and national bodies.
Right. Very good. So, and that's really interesting, because if you had blockchain voting, and you could theoretically do build a direct democracy, or even a controlled representative democracy, right, with full transparency. And anyway, that's nice. Okay, excellent. Next, and related, quote, one day everyone will use China's digital currency, right? What are your thoughts? What are the risks if China's the first to launch, I guess what they would want to be a worldwide crypto?
Well, first, that is a really great marketing copy on their part. It sounds like just the sort of statement you would make if you really wanted to pump your bag, so to speak. And I think they're going to have a hard time, making it the dominant currency. I think it might be true that one day everyone will use it, but I don't think that it's going to be something that everyone will use, exclusively. And I don't think that China or any other world power has the ability to make that happen. Any country that thinks that they do, has a few steps to get through before they can enforce that on the world. And the world is already using decentralized, permissionless networks. Stamping those out would require an effort that I think is frankly beyond them.
Right. Orrin, what do you think about China's positioning?
We believe that this is a well-put marketing statement, and what they might mean is that China's digital currency will be interchangeable with any other cryptocurrency in the coming years and months.
That makes sense. And I think that, you're right, Greg, that there's enough competition out there that is probably better suited to the actual use that they're talking about. If they put something in place, it is more than likely, no matter what the marketing is, going to be a hedge against leaking funds, because that's been their biggest problem with Bitcoin. And every time they banned it was because people were cashing out their national currency into Bitcoin and moving it out of the country, right? And they have a lot of people over here, and they have a lot of people around the world that are leveraging that. So I wonder, I would have to assume that's a big part of it. And I think, in my opinion, China's more likely to collapse before this would happen. But when I say China, CCP, I don't, China's obviously not going to collapse, so something will replace it. It'd be great. Let's see here. Yeah. Next up, we have FinCEN, also related. FinCEN wants U.S. citizens to report offshore crypto holdings. What do you guys think about this? Start again with Greg.
One thing that the article notes is that this would bring reporting rules into line with their cash reporting requirements. And we all know that if you're carrying $10,000 worth of paper bills around, that whether or not you report that and whether or not they can prove that has a lot to do with whether or not they can catch you. They can mandate this, and there will certainly be a lot of people who comply with it. But just like with cash, that will be at the ethical, moral, and personal principles of the holder. They can mandate it. Can they enforce it? That depends on how savvy they are.
Yes.
So
yes.
And frankly, I haven't seen any evidence that AML rules or the same things that they use to enforce against nation states have had any meaningful impact on the things they're trying to prevent. So I can't see it being all that effective.
Yeah. And Orrin, what do you think about the effect of this on Ethereum, I guess in particular, but decentralized exchanges in general?
It definitely threatens them. And if it were to be passed, it could temporarily dampen the current momentum of the crypto market. But it is ultimately another attempt by the US government to control and profit from crypto transactions, which in essence is supposed to be against that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes about over time. Also, first and foremost, we should not be keeping large amounts of cryptocurrencies on exchanges for long periods of time anyway. So we should be having cold wallets as well.
Yeah. Hardware wallets, your keys. What? Just the other day, right? I don't. Which day was it? It was just a day or two ago. The day of owning your keys. I don't know what they called it. I don't follow that stuff. But either way, that very, very important. I mean, that's what we're all about as well. Dragonchain with time, that you have to hold your own dragons. You have to own the keys to use the time. And that's why we did it. And I think the positive effect of this is number one, that it will drive further decentralization, for whatever reason. And I think most of it would be for legitimate reasons, but that I don't think there's a lot of fraud. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but that other fraud is much easier for criminals, to do. Other money laundering is much easier than using any of this technology for it. But they at least have that. That does make sense that they're trying to do that. But I think it's going to push Ethereum crazy this year. That everything's going to move to decentralized exchanges. And there'll be rules for good centralized exchanges, because there are some out there, the decent number of them. But the other thing, and I'm just going to say this, I don't want to get too far into politics, but with what's going on right now, and I think that we have a crisis of it's a semantic crisis. We don't know what to call it yet, but that there is an ongoing war, but it's mostly information war, right? And a lot of that has these financial impacts with debt. We just did the national debt at the beginning. That if you think that they're just blowing more money out, not thinking about this in the middle of this war, you're crazy, because I think that this might be an indicator that you're going to see a swap. So that's, at least in my head, that it's probably the most real possibility in my lifetime. That, well, I guess I was alive during the when the gold standard was killed. But either way, that I think you might see either a return to gold standard, or hopefully a return to gold standard with some mixed bag of crypto. But wiping out your enemies, the debt to your enemy, would be the main piece of that. You basically say, okay, that debt, like, gone. You guys screwed us with COVID. You guys screwed us with this. You guys screwed us with that. It's war, and all that's what money's all about. So anyway, I think
you see things like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, I think it's a big piece of that. I think that they're going to also have to have controls on when they do that swap. They're not going to want to have the huge leaks in crypto in the middle of trying to make sure they get a handle on stabilizing whatever the new currency is. That's crazy tinfoil hat stuff, but like, you have to think that's true. There's some unbelievable stuff going on in the world. So
I think the late great Carrie Fisher said it best when her character in a famous movie that need not be named said, the more you tighten your grip, the more systems will slip through your fingers. I think that's what we're seeing a lot of right now is, these futile efforts at control are just going to drive more people to realize that they can't be controlled and that that's their power.
Yeah, that's the great thing. That is the probably the biggest positive thing about all this, even with all the attacks, and any of us in crypto are like, you can feel it constantly. That you have government, you have unknowns out there always attacking that. It's very obvious when the banks tried to mess with Bitcoin early on. They tried to squash it. It just popped up. It's like Hydra. It's just thousands of projects popped up out of that. Ethereum being one of them. And so it's like, it's obvious they can't control it, so they want a hand in it. So it's weird. It's crazy. Yep. Anyway, the
more they try it, the more innovation is going to happen. So
yep. And the next up, another effect of that whole that same attempt to squeeze is Bittrex stops trading 3 privacy coins. That those are the real threats to some of, which does make sense. If you were going to move money around that you didn't want people to know you're moving around, that's what it's for. You wouldn't use Bitcoin anyway. You wouldn't use most of the other projects. You would use one of, Monero, Zcash, Dash, one of those things. And they're all really good projects, right? I've not kept track of them for quite a while, but I think so. I think I still have some. I'm pretty sure. I probably don't have enough. I don't know what the price is, but what do you guys think? What do you think, Greg, on why are they doing this? And new regulation on privacy coins. Do you think that this is going to be a huge effect? Do you know people that use the privacy coins? Is the other question.
Personally, I've always, if I were to recommend or see people recommending a privacy approach to trading their tokens around, I've seen more traction with things like Tornado Cash, where it's built on the back of an existing chain like Ethereum, and you can use these coin mixer type of technologies that really can't be blocked, like you can ban a token from an exchange. To maintain your privacy. The downside to it, and the thing that bothers me about things like this, is that Zcash, Monero, Dash, they made privacy more accessible to people more easily. So what you're going to see is what you always see: the sophisticated parties who really need privacy for some particular reason, especially that need privacy from nation states for some particular reason, being able to find a way to do it. Right? Honestly, the easiest anonymous technology to exchange value in right now is still paper cash. But by taking away things like Monero and Zcash and Dash and pressuring exchanges to take those things away, you're taking those away from the least technically capable users. And I don't appreciate that. And I think it's something that ought to be resisted, but it's also not to be unexpected, because that's pretty much what governments have done ever since technologically enforceable privacy has been a thing. Right.
What do you think, Orrin?
The forces of control and the forces of liberty.
Sorry, you cut out for a minute there. Sorry, I talked over the top of you. Orrin, what do you think about this? I mean, I think that's probably the saddest part about it, is that it basically pulls it away from the non-technophiles, because the technophiles can still use it. You can still do what you might need to do. It might affect value as well, which makes it harder to use it if you are trying to transfer value, right?
It creates more barriers to entry, but again, people who want to do something will find a way, right? And in theory, a lot of cryptocurrencies which use hash addresses technically have some privacy features enabled it in already, but these coins are more coins that hide all transaction information. So this seems influenced by regulatory agencies trying to intimidate and go after the more obvious coins, which wholly challenge constitutional oversight.
Right. That's the weird part about it. It seems that this stuff's too new, so it makes it too hard for most people to understand the effect on liberty, or freedom of speech. I mean, it's software, right? Software is already has precedent as freedom of speech, but yet when software hits upon anything in a financial sector, it all bets are off. They make up new rules. They say, oh well, here's a gap in our rules for the peach farmers in the 30s, so let's add this now on by fiat. They say, oh, here's a new rule, and it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't. I wouldn't mind it if they really went through like early internet and tried to understand the tech before they established rules. But the problem is they're trying too much to say this, and it makes sense, because this is the first time that software, and we've said this in the past quite a bit. I used to have a canned presentation that I would give if we didn't have anything else, that was about the real value of the tech, right? And that I had a quote in there from Mark Andreessen that the software is eating the world, right? And everybody understood that when you apply software to real estate, it takes over that market. When you apply software to food delivery, it takes over that market, right? And yet, this is the first time it really was hitting. At least one of the use cases was financial, right? Where what happens when you take that and apply it to banking? Well, bankers get really, really freaked out and upset, and they apply millions of dollars to try to kill it first. But it's pretty much that. And I think that what crypto does is it gave the ability decentralize that, or to basically encapsulate the incentives in the software itself instead of in a leader, right? You don't need a CEO of the quality of Steve Jobs or something to push this through. That the incentives pull it, right? That the users pull it. So anyway,
right. The institutions are the users, and the smart contracts are the regulators, and all the people with power now are no longer necessary. If we really realize the full potential of it.
Yeah. And you could either consider it a test of the tech, a test of the industry, or you could consider it a war, depending how you want to look at it. But I do think that you're going to get a lot of these things where they say, well, you can't do this anymore, and they squeeze it, and they basically make the tech and make the projects prioritize things that would decentralize in the end. So it's, where do you put the decentralization? Where do you put the brick and mortar? And it makes things a lot more complex. I'll tell you, running a project, a lot more complex, so, drives you crazy. Okay. Next up, also, well, it's somewhat related, at least related to what we just talked about, class action, alleging that Coinbase acted unlawfully and fraudulently in listing XRP. Now, I don't know precisely what all of the criteria are for listing at Coinbase, and they have had some cases where some have theorized that they have not followed their same process for some listings as others, which is always interesting because there's money to be made by them, obviously, in fees and knowing what Coinbase does. Do you think, Greg, that this will affect their reputation based upon the outcome of whoever knows what's going to happen with XRP and Ripple? And do you think it'll affect the IPO?
I think with Coinbase in particular, this is almost more like a welcome to the big boys club type of moment. You're going to see lots and lots of class action lawsuits against any major U.S. company. And to see this happen with Coinbase, I mean, I've looked a bit into the details of the XRP thing, and if the government can prove its case, they've got a strong case. It's not an illegitimate thing that they're claiming. I mean, I don't know the facts, whether or not they can prove what they say, and whether or not that's the real story, but that's for a court to decide. But to see these types of lawsuits emerge just to me says that there are class action lawyers out there that see enough of a pot that they're willing to take these cases. So it's going to be the same old thing if they win, where like the victims get a $10 gift certificate to Applebee's and the lawyer makes off like a billionaire. But that's, if anything, suggests the maturity of Coinbase as a U.S. company more than anything.
True. And by the way, I will throw into that Dragonchain was, let's see here, it would have been in early 2018 sued for $78 million, based upon, if you look at the altcoin, I call it the altcoin fiasco. And we actually don't have anything where I can't speak out, and there is no gag order, but we won it, right? But we won it, and it was weird. But either way, it's an extremely interesting story for that same reason. That it's like, okay, that's what the lawyers told me to. Yeah, everybody's going to sue you. Everybody's going to sue you. Get used to it. And that's why we've always stayed on the straight and narrow. We're constantly thinking about, okay, we have to do everything right, or we're going to be screwed. So and we're good at it, so it's good. So what do you think, Orrin? And to add on, what do you think the potential effect? I mean, this is another. Do you think there's any other involvement beyond just this class action? I mean, there's a lot going on with XRP, and I have negatives, in my mind about XRP and some of what I know, but at the same time, I don't know everything. And I'm generally, I'm a libertarian anyway. I'm against regulation anyway. I understand real world, but some of this stuff, maybe for XRP, I don't know. It seems odd. It seems like the timing is for one thing. Why wouldn't they have done this back in the day? Everybody knew, what was going on. Same thing with other cryptocurrencies, right? Timing. What do you think?
Well, the protection in this might be that since they've already delisted XRP, they might be protected legally because they followed guidelines as soon as new information was available. And there also might be potential clauses in the terms and conditions which might protect them from being sued later on. But there is truth in the fact that they conducted a transaction that they might not be licensed to do. But we believe that this case seems like an attempt to win money because there seems to be no serious loss. But again, Coinbase is not technically registered to conduct these exchanges. And we're definitely going to see increased disclaimers on exchanges to protect them from these types of problems. And if Coinbase does get sued and it does go through and they incur a loss, it would be harming innovation in the States and signaling to other firms in the space that they're not protected by the law and that the government is still kind of ambivalent on whether or not they're going to support crypto industries or going to be honestly opportunistic about it. So it's setting a precedent that could scare future growth in the States in the crypto scene.
Right. And I will tell you one thing, Coinbase, I was a big fan early on, especially because Andreessen invested in it and everything else. And, some of the things they've done recently, they get a lot of bad press for, IRS being one, or this being another, some of the DeFi listing stuff is another, that I have to wonder if, being an American company, we're always kind of on our own. We don't have the support of our federal government. If I was a Chinese company building Dragonchain in China, and I had a different last name, they would be pushing me like crazy. I know it because I see the projects here that they're pushing, right? So I wonder if that's related as well. The Coinbase is an American company, and China is an active interest in crypto. You have to wonder if there's money being, flowed. And I don't know about this particular thing, but I guarantee that they are on their list as, we want to keep them down and push Binance maybe up or somebody else. I'm not gonna say that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. This is live, right? Whatever. Next up, NFT art sales. So we can move it off of all of that dark stuff into NFT art sales. All-time high, 8.2 million in is that traded, I guess, in December. That's crazy, right? I mean, this is very early for this stuff, and the tech is very splintered. I don't know where some of the stuff sells. I don't know the rules. There's licensing rules. Do I own that? Can I reuse it? Can anybody else reuse it? Can the artist still reuse it? I don't know all that stuff yet, right? I've not gone into it enough, but I have ideas, some things I would like to see, and I hope that they get standardized soon. We have relation to some of the meme stuff out there, so there's very active interest at Dragonchain in this stuff, obviously. So what do you think, Greg, the best use of the tech, and this would be the NFT technology itself, and if it is related to art or a physical item, how do you think things will develop and how fast?
NFTs have always been one of my favorite pieces of this technology. I mean, the idea of fungible versus non-fungible, right? If this were a fungible token, you could take this artwork and chop it up into, 5,000 self-similar pieces and trade it as, this artwork's currency or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when there's just one unique asset, one unique object, you create a whole new type of instrument. And this type of instrument can be used for anything from deeds to particular properties to, licenses meant to go to particular businesses for particular things to, to unique designators for pieces of digital art. This is an area of this technology that has been untapped, but it's also, I think, even more versatile than fungible tokens. And we're going to see every type of innovation taking advantage of it. This is, if fungible tokens were the first wave of this technology, this is really ultimately going to be the biggest wave of this technology, in my opinion.
Very good, very good. What do you think, Orrin? Best use case for NFTs, and how to relate them to real world items?
So we definitely think that the increased volume is influenced by the holiday season and increased shopping during this time, but it's also speaking to the general trend and adoption of NFTs, Rarible doing 24 million in sales last year. And once people that NFTs, for example, are similar to in-game items with the rise of streaming and console games, more people will join the movement and validate ownership on the blockchain. And entertainment is also coming to NFTs with what we call social coins. So rapper Lil Yachty partnered with Fuse to create tokens which have real world incentives. So as the rise of NFTs increase and as the real world integration also partners with that, we'll definitely see an increase in how people are using NFTs and just the overall value of them. And NFTs are around us every day. In video games, we get in-game items, and unfortunately, we can't mint these in-game items for real-world coin. But when we're able to do that, you'll actually be getting paid to play video games, and that type of value is revolutionary.
Yeah, that's what's coming, and we've tried for a few years now to get a couple of the groups that in video games interested, or at least to consider doing this. And so far, and a lot of it is because I think I'm not going to mention any particular company, but sometimes their architects think that they understand the economies because they deal in closed economies, and I've been trying to open it up. Is like, no, this is potentially explosive. If you get a game that's already fun and you make it so that a normal person can build this value, not even knowing they're building value, they're playing a game. But then when they look at it and they say, wait, that's $80, that's $800, that's when they become a crypto person. That's when they will do the due diligence and the research to properly extract that value, and then use it, because it would be something that would be much more wide reaching than what they already have, right? Games are games, they're fun, but right now there is no scarcity. I mean, which actually affects the game even. So when you add scarcity in there, it's crazy. And there are a couple of smaller teams that are definitely going that route that we're working with. And we're using it in DEN for the ownership of layers, right? And that's precisely why it is that way. It's both for governance and for to incentivize the community owners, the people who started the community or who want, I was like, I'm going to go buy a piece of this community so that I can be vested in. I have skin in the game, and I'm going to go find content now or bring my own content, and then I'm rewarded, right? So that's part of what it's all about. And it's, I think that access thing is interesting, but it's often though, and the thing that worries me about some of the art projects is that they're not as much looking at, and it's good they're just doing it, right? But I want to see something where there's a reason to buy it other than speculation, number one, or I guess vanity would be the other one. There's like, I bought this one, I own it, that's what art's about, really. You hang it with an NFT. I don't know yet how that works, because what if, is there a real piece and I own the NFT? How do I make sure that it's not split, that I sell the piece, but I don't ever, it's like they don't care about crypto, so I can't transfer it. How do you handle that?
You should totally check out cryptomotors.io. Those guys have a really neat NFT. I picked up a Gen Zero car back in the day. They have a racing game you can actually play it in.
Really?
But if other people integrate this technology, then I can take my car to that game, mods and all, and pull it out onto the track, and it's still the same car that I was playing in the other game. Like, they're starting to get the right idea over there.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Plus, if there's scarcity on the components of that car, that's perfect, because then you transfer it all in one, and yeah, that's really good. You can do the same thing with card games, and I'm surprised nobody's done it yet. It would be so radically simple to do, but Bondly Exchange has been working on NFT trading cards integrated with their exchange platform. Nice. See, there you go. So I know we're going to do a bunch of stuff in DEN with badges and the like as well, that would probably be, carry with them some utility value inside, beyond just it being, a badge. But we'll see, right? There's so much going on. There's really, really exciting stuff. 2021 is going to be the year for that, I think. But last thing, banking crypto regulations. Orrin mentioned it in his first answer. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So it's Treasury Department office, I believe, that has stepped in. And we've heard, I will tell you, I can't tell you who or where or what, but we've heard rumors about this group, that they're doing some exciting things that I think are really in the right direction. that would, I'm hoping, unify, because that's the biggest problem doing crypto business in the US, and the reason that we don't have the services that we should have. That you think about it, some of the regulators, their mission is to make it safe for consumers, yet what they've done is made it less safe, because now most US consumers use VPNs and foreign exchanges, where it's really just the Wild West, which is what they don't want. And if they would just make it simpler to do business here, then you have a lot more honest business here. And I'm hoping these guys do that. So what do you guys think about this? Because this announcement was, I guess, particularly about banks using stable coins and Bitcoin and ETH, I think, right? So what are your thoughts?
This is actually really interesting, because after the initial statement by the Office of the Comptroller of Currency allowing banks to hold stable coins, which was back in early December, it drew the ire of some legislators who turned around and filed this thing called this monstrosity, frankly, called the Stable Act, which claimed to be about protecting consumers from the preemptorily from the predations that banks meted out upon them in the early part of this decade, or the early part of this century, like 2008 era type stuff. And the regulation had the net effect of applying all bank regulations to stablecoins. So their goal was to protect consumers from the predations that banks have already perpetrated. And the way they did it was to make it so that the only way that you could issue a stablecoin was if you behaved exactly like a bank. Like kind of a ridiculous piece of legislation that that clearly was not going to gain any traction, but kind of was a statement of belief about how this ought to go. And the fact that OCC turned around and did this in response, to me, says there's a fight brewing, and it's something that everybody in this country in particular should be paying very careful attention to and voicing their opinions to their legislators, so that when the time comes for this fight to come to a head, the people stand on the side that actually protects their interests and not the side that pretends to.
Very good point. What do you think, Orrin?
We agree with what Greg said. We believe that the pandemic definitely helped normalize digital exchanges, with less stores wanting to carry dollars, and the new work from home economy creating new financial tools for digital payments. So what will be exciting is the varied mix of countries creating their own native currencies and others adopting existing protocols such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, and maybe finally allowing government interest to help fund innovation inside of the space. And so we agree with the statement, because as with NFTs, in an ideal world, anything and everything will be tokenized or backed by a digital economy pegged to a cryptocurrency. So this is the beginning of that, at least in the States.
It's very good. And there's a real fog of war, because you have to wonder who paid for, who lobbied.
Yes.
Because there's the law that Greg mentioned. Somebody's behind that. It wasn't just some senators and representatives getting together. It's like, what, we should do this. No, somebody came to them, gave them a big glossy ledger sheet saying, here's why you need to do this. I want this done. And by the way, yeah, we've donated to your campaign and your daughter's whatever. That's how that stuff works. So I wonder who that was, because it's just so weird that those are the banks fighting against themselves. I think XRP is as well, that there's some banks behind it, but which banks, maybe, I don't know. Either way. So that's everything. So Greg, tell us where people can watch your project, Rivets, and everything, right?
So you can check out Rivet at the word Rivet on Twitter. So at R_I_V_V_E_T. That's Rivet. And you can follow me at Design Heretic, all one word. And then watch those spaces, because we're going to be expanding out to new platforms and new channels over the course of this year.
Excellent. And Orrin, where can people come and see what you're up to, especially with new projects, and you have a Lair and Den, things like this? Where should people go?
We're Orrin Real Orrin on all social media platforms. We have a YouTube show where we talk about cryptocurrencies and the overall state of the world on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and also you can follow our Dragon Den. Welcome to the Matrix. Thank you.
Yes, right. I have the nice. Go get a shirt. Pretty cool shirts. Let's see here. So next week, next Tuesday, watch Super Happy Dragon Lucky again, same time. Follow us, Real Denizens, Dragonchain Gang, and Jojo Row. Like, comment, subscribe, and watch in Den. There's going to be a lot happening this month. A lot of things coming out, and some things we really want some active participation in, especially with the creation of new layers. It's a lot of it is a test to see how we pivot. What do we add? What do we do next? What do we prioritize? And we're trying to turn all of that on so that people can have some real participation, and feedback, and get some skin in the game, and then use it. So it'll be fun. I mean, it's people are already seeing profit posting memes of all things, and obviously good content otherwise. But we've seen some people that have made hundreds of bucks in a day just posting content, good original content. So and that's just started. Very, very, very early, very small right now, but it's growing fast. So anyway, talk to you all next week. Thanks a bunch.
Cool. Thanks for having us, Joe.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome to the Matrix.